My name's Cole Bradshaw and I'm part of the CROP team, Community Rites of Passage team, and I'm probably the elder in the group as I'm the oldest man. The part I play in the team is that I'm the mentor, in that there are younger men coming through that are all inside a training program which we call Rites of Passage, and each of the men have done that. And I think I'm a sounding board for any of the conversations that are outside their worldly experience. Through men's work, which I've been involved in for roughly 20 years, I realised that there was a big gap. We were doing men's work for men that were in that 40 to 50, maybe a bit older range. And it seemed that it was a waste of opportunity not to actually move right down into younger men and give them some of the realisations that I was realising at 40, 50, 60. Make sure those guys had some understanding of those realisations at 20, 30, in their teens to 20 rather than 40s and 50s. It just gave the men a lot more scope to live meaningful lives a lot earlier. So I became interested in Rites of Passage. I knew from my work in the men's movement, I knew that there was a Rites of Passage camp, a group of men, and I also had taken my son to Rites of Passage, my oldest son to Rites of Passage, and knew that it was valuable. I was a rural boy, lived on a farm, so my Rites of Passage tended to be much more like tractor driving, getting a driver's licence, being able to work for money, those sorts of things. So it wasn't conscious Rites of Passage, and I think that's the distinction. We all have Rites of Passage, but some are conscious and some aren't. And I think that my Rites of Passage was a lot later in life because there wasn't anyone to actually really hold that for me. And Dad did the best job he could, but that he learnt what he learnt off his dad and he passed that on to me, and that wasn't necessarily the greatest story. I remembered myself back at school. I'd had some pretty good friends at school, and I went through a significant period of my life where I realised that I did everything on my own and that I had no one to relate to, and that my relationship with my partner was the most significant thing in my life, and in that I was incredibly dependent. So I decided that it was time that I actually felt comfortable about my relationship with men in the world. I wanted the wisdom of other men in my life. Each of those young men are inspirational young men. They know something about their direction. They are more confident. They are willing to step forward into life. So they just totally inspire me, because this is something that when I was a young man, I was still hiding out a lot of instead of stepping forward and creating a situation for myself, I was making sure that it would only be the things that I got asked for that I would do. So it's sort of like I could recognise something that was really changed. The young men that I was starting to relate to really were changed from my picture of myself. And besides that, they're a great bunch. We have a lot of fun together, and deep down, they're some of the best people I know. It's hard work. To know that I and we have made a difference to another man's life, a young man's life, is really significant. It's there's a sense of doing good in the world, making a difference. Overall, it's a sharing, a truth-telling, a place where men can share their stories and the boys can listen, and the boys can share, the young men can share their stories and be listened to. And in that, when a group of men share their stories, it does something to the relationships, and put with other men and held in a sacred sort of, with a sacred energy, something comes alive. There's something that comes alive in the group, and that's the deep listening and the heartfelt sharing that goes on. It's a beautiful thing in terms of human relationships. So I would absolutely encourage rites of passage, because not only does it mean that the relationships in the family are somewhat smoothed and reconnected through the program we run, but also the young men's relationship with the world actually changes, because instead of trying to prove themselves to their mates, there's some inner knowing, inner belonging that they've got, and that makes a profound difference, because all those risk behaviours are minimised to some degree, because they're not trying to show off and prove themselves. We have a departure from the family. So we have some ceremonial process where the young men are led away. We have an adventure together. We have a separation where the boys go off on their own to consider their life. And then we have a return back into the community. So there's quite a set formula. It's sort of, and it's how we do that. It varies on what willingness in the group there is to explore things. I'm really grateful, like to have the parents, the extended family that welcome you back home after you've been off on a pretty physical journey is it's beyond beautiful. It's just such a generous gift for us to step back into, and some of the and we see firsthand some of the new formed relationships, the parents that are totally moved to have their sons back, and you know, and some of the younger members of the family being acknowledged in a different way than that they've ever been acknowledged. You know, that big brother, little brother stuff suddenly disappears and the little brother becomes friend, and you can see it, and it's shown. If you want to actually deepen your relationship with your son, be it mum or dad, that this is an invaluable experience, that there's something that will happen here that gives a young man a sense of belonging that he'll bring back home. And you'll need, as a whole family, to do a little bit of transforming, because you've now got a new man in your house. So it's not just having the little boy there that you're going to do everything for. So in a way, your whole family is going to go through a growth period, and that's an exciting thing, because you're preparing a young man to go out in the world, and you're the beginning step of that preparation. But it's exciting, it's profound, it's something that I can't stress enough that it's a must do.